Ohio State is switching things up this spring, and it could be exactly what the Buckeyes need to run it back in 2025.
You are Locked On Buckeyes, your daily podcast on the Ohio State Buckeyes. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome in, Buckeye fans, to your Thursday edition of Locked On Buckeyes, which is your daily Ohio State podcast. Part of Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your host, Jay Stevens, also the host of the Jay Stevens Podcast. And today's episode is brought to you by the all-new 2025 Nissan Armada. Stay with us for the Armada Team of the Week later in the episode. During today's show, we'll discuss if Ryan Day's plan for spring ball could backfire, as well as a great opportunity in front of all the young Buckeyes. But first, spring practice is one of the times of year that we all get sucked into football. We are trying to figure out what's going on with the Buckeyes, who is making some waves, who's flashing on the field, who might jump somebody in the depth chart. And while all that is good, there may be a time that the spring practice schedule needs to be altered. Maybe you change it in the middle of the spring session. Maybe you change it before. But sometimes altering things could lead to massive success in the fall. And Ryan Day has decided to push spring practice back to after spring break instead of doing two practices before spring break, breaking, and then coming back to practice. And I think that, and also going with a little bit more of a slower, methodical approach to spring ball, I think it's going to help the Buckeyes be fresher when they step on the field in the fall. Because Ohio State's team right now is one of the few teams that played a game on January 20th. Them and Notre Dame were the only two teams that played that late into the year. And Ryan Day realizes a lot of it comes from his time in the NFL, also his time at Ohio State, realizing how the changes to the college football schedule are impacting the players every single day. He is trying to make sure that he is ahead of the game, 2 or 3 or 4 steps ahead of the most forward-thinking coach to make sure that his plan for the Buckeyes, the team that he leads, is the best plan for that unit. Now, the plan for this unit would be different than the 2026 team and the 2027 and beyond, because you have to cater that to the players on the roster. Ohio State's losing 8 starters on defense. They're losing quite a few starters on offense. They're going to have a more experienced offensive line, but there's going to be some newcomers there that came from the transfer portal. Max Clare coming over from Purdue, a new tight end. There's a lot of new faces in new places for Ohio State. And when you have a spring practice that is very instrumental in getting those new guys acclimated to Buckeyes football and the way that Ryan Day and the other coaches do things, taking this approach, taking it slow for a couple of weeks, trying to figure out the 3 stages of spring practice, the experienced guys, the guys that have played a little ball, and the guys that have played no ball, and then trying to work that in with some new coaches along the way, Matt Patricia, a promotion for Brian Hartline, things of that nature. When you take all that into account, Ryan Day's on the right path. He's on the right path to have Ohio State be able to run it back for the first time in Buckeye history. Yeah, Ohio State has had numerous opportunities in the history of the program to win back-to-back national championships. They just haven't been successful. This year it's going to be a little bit more difficult because you're going to have a new starting quarterback, 2 new running backs that are getting the bulk of the carries. You still have Jeremiah Smith, but you lose Mecca Buka. Up comes Brandon Ennis getting more receptions. Up comes Bryson Rogers up the depth chart. You still have Will Kazmarek. You lose G. Scott Jr. Oh, here comes Max Clare. That's a benefit. That's a boost to that room. On defense, you're losing your entire starting defensive line, losing some other key guys along the way. Making sure you go a little bit slower so you're not giving guys too much, but also you're allowing every stage, all 3 stages of the team, to get the necessary reps they need for spring practice. Yeah, some of the older guys aren't going to hit that much. They are not going to get a lot of the reps in the spring showcase. They might not even be featured as much as you would like them to, because spring ball, if you're a vet, it's not really for you. I mean, yeah, it's great. It's good for you to get back on the field and to get around the team. But as far as the physical part of it, no, not at all. Spring ball is for a team, but that hitting aspect, and when you know you are Jeremiah Smith, or you know you are on the blank player that played a lot of ball, Sonny Styles, your body might still be trying to get back to normal Because in a normal season for Ohio State, you're finishing lately, it's been at the end of December or beginning of January, and you would have had, 3 or 4 months to recover. All of a sudden now, you haven't had that time. Your body is getting ready for the next season, but also still trying to recover at the same time. You can save your body. You don't have to be the battering ram to get hit over and over and over again. Let the young guys do that. Let the guys like a James Peoples and a guy coming over like a CJ Donaldson get banged up a little bit. A Sam Williams-Dixon who is back, allow him to get banged up a little bit. But also know that this is a time where you can solidify yourself and cement the culture at Ohio State and keep it where it needs to be. If I am a Sonny Styles, or if I am a Carson Hinzman, or if I am a Will Kazmarek, or if I am Caleb Downs or Jeremiah Smith, there are things those guys can do to keep the culture the way that it is. The culture under Ryan Day currently is healthy. It's one that it weeds out the bad apples by themselves. If you're at Ohio State and you realize that this isn't the place for you, or you think it is, where you become a cancer, bye. That's not me talking. That's just the team on the players on the inside. Because those in-house, they can spot out a bad apple really quick. It doesn't take long to realize there's somebody out there that could mess us up, that could lead us to disaster. We can't have that. We can't have it at all. And Ryan Day has not been shy about saying Ohio State's not for everybody. Some guys might have dreams to be a Buckeye, or they may be in the portal and they may try to come to Ohio State. Ultimately, no. Ohio State isn't for everybody. And Ryan Day's approach to spring practice is going to help kind of weed out the people that shouldn't be there if there's someone there that doesn't belong. Now, the one thing for Ryan Day is, when trying to run it back, he recruits guys that he believes are the right fit for the culture. Maybe a guy from the portal, maybe a guy from high school, doesn't matter. He recruits guys year after year after year, and he can quickly realize if a guy has it or if he doesn't, and he brings those guys in. Julian Sayin's now the expected quarterback for Ohio State in the fall. And you got Lincoln Kienholz and Tavian St. Clair that are battling for the QB1 title too. All three guys, from everything that we know so far, doesn't have the desire to be a cancer in the locker room. They want to be Buckeyes. They want to do everything they can to help the team to be successful and to run it back. Ryan Day could have chosen the same old approach that he's had over the past few years. Start spring ball before spring break, go a couple practices, go on a break for a little bit, and all of a sudden you come back and you have 13 practices left. Ryan Day could have done that. So, yeah, I know how late we played in the season. I know how physically worn the bodies are of the guys that are still here, but who cares? Got the old school mentality. I'm going to go ahead and do what I've always done and let the chips fall where they may. But he didn't do that. And Ryan Day also doesn't have an old school mentality all the time. I think he's an old school mentality in a lot of the ways he coaches, but he's definitely a player's coach. He's been advocating for the players to get better benefits and, the money aspect too. Ryan Day gets a lot of things right. And the fact that Ryan Day is thinking ahead and being a forward thinker and realizing we don't have to do spring ball like we've always done it. We could change things up in hope that it will lead to massive success in the fall. That's a great thought by Ryan Day. And honestly, I think it will lead to success. I'm not going to say they're going to run it back. I'm not there to make that prediction yet. Come back in the fall for that one. But I do think this will be a step in the right direction. Get back to winning the Big Ten, get back to beating Michigan, and get back to the playoff and be in contention to be one of the 12 teams in the CFP that can win the national championship at the end of the day. While Ohio State's altering things in spring practice, and that's going to impact all three stages of the team, there's one stage that I believe is going to benefit in a big way when spring ball starts. The Armada Team of the Week is brought to you by our friends at Nissan and the all-new 2025 Nissan Armada. Each week, our Locked On College basketball experts are picking one team that stands apart. From top-seeded stars to the unexpected upsets, these guys showcase the strength and sheer power needed to push the team forward. This week's Armada and clear-cut Team of the Week are the Houston Cougars. Since joining the Big 12 last season, the Cougars have gone a combined 33-4 in conference games, winning the regular season title by multiple games both years. There is no team in college basketball that more capably embodies a rugged Armada than Kelvin Sampson's squad. Houston's tenacious defense, led the nation in fewest points allowed per game for the second straight season. When it comes to the Nissan Armada, they say go forth and conquer. And that's exactly what the Houston Cougars have done here. It's clear that our team of the week is out here ready to conquer the road ahead with confidence, just like you can in the all-new Nissan Armada or any of the Nissan's outstanding vehicles. Take the Nissan Armada, Rogue, or Pathfinder and go find your next big adventure. Shop NissanUSA.com. Thank you all for tapping in Locked On Buckeyes and making this show your first listen of the day. My brother played college football about 10 years ago now, maybe 11 years ago, and he had a very interesting approach to spring practice. And after talking to him a few years after he was done playing ball, it kind of reminded me about what Ohio State is going through right now. He talked about spring practice and that a lot of the older guys aren't the biggest fit. Like, they like playing football, don't get me wrong, but spring ball, man, that's not the biggest thing for them. They're going to get their reps. They're going to get their time. But it's almost like getting your feet wet, a little teaser for what's going to come in the fall. Spring ball, a lot of the time, and he even mentioned, my brother mentioned it to me a couple times, those young guys are able to have a massive benefit from getting spring practice, getting on campus, getting around the team, being able to put the pads on and practice consistently out there. Also, when they do team scrimmages inside the shoe, they're able to participate this time, where during the playoff, there were some early enrollees and some guys that transferred in that could be on the sideline, but they couldn't play. All of a sudden, now in spring ball, you get to get inside the shoe, get to put on that jersey, get to put on the pads and the pants and get a lot of those reps and showcase your skill set in front of the entire fan base. In Ohio State, it's kind of like my brother. The vets, they like playing ball, but they also want to save their bodies. They're going to go hard, but there's almost a time where it's too many Oklahoma drills, too many drills that could end up being detrimental to the overall goal that Ohio State has as far as the physicality of them. Take it slow, be very methodical, but while taking it slow and methodical, work on those young guys. Those young guys like a Julian Sayin. While he's been at Ohio State for a year, he hasn't played much ball. Played a little bit of ball. Hadn't played a lot of ball. James Peoples played a little bit of ball. He's going to get a lot of reps. Well, C.J. Donaldson's played a lot of ball that hasn't been at Ohio State. So he's going to get acclimated. Now, I'm not going to say he's going to be taking on the physical beating all spring practice long, but you will see him get more reps than the average person that's played multiple years of college football, who is a 2,000-yard rusher, I believe, in his career. He's going to get a lot of those carries because Carlos Lockland needs to coach this man up. He's going to want to figure out, how do these guys complement each other? Is Peoples truly the guy? Is it going to be a split carry situation like we got from a year ago? Or maybe Sam Williams-Dixon, who is now back at Ohio State after entering the portal, maybe it's a time for him. These young Buckeyes, all over the place, not just incoming freshmen, there's transfers too. They are going to be able to take part of spring practice and benefit from these extra reps. And the spring showcase itself, while no one except for Ryan Day has a good idea, and the other people he's talked to have a good idea of what the spring showcase is going to look like, I guarantee a lot of these young guys are going to get a lot more reps for spring ball. That's going to be the same way in the spring showcase. Spring practice is one of those fun times. I remember my wife and I have been there, and I went a few years ago now, met Jeff Hunt, who was a frequent contributor of the show. Him and I met for the first time at the spring game, met his wife. We talked the whole time, and just did what we always do, chop it up. But spring game is fun. It's a family event. I said it, I don't know if it was here, I said it to somebody. There are a lot of people out there that view the spring game as a one-time they can go to the shoe all year. Maybe you live in Ohio, or maybe you live in one of the bordering states around there. Wherever you live, people look at the spring game and say, we're taking the family. It's going to be a little bit more expensive than maybe you would like, but tickets are cheaper. The hotels, you can get them. The driving, not bad for most of us who live in the area, and you can go there. Watch your favorite Buckeye players, prepare for the upcoming season, and then wait a few months, sit there on your couch in the fall and watch the Buckeyes battle with Texas and Illinois and Penn State and the team up north, Wisconsin, and all those schools. Grambling State's coming to town. And that's going to be one of those there where I hope they play that band at halftime, or probably a Fox or a Big Ten game. I hope they play that band at halftime because y'all know, y'all seen Drumline. Halftime is game time. A&T, I ain't said that in a while, but it truly is the truth. When you're at an HBCU, halftime is game time. Now, the HBCU football product is real, but trust me, there are a lot of people that leave after halftime because after the band is done, they're ready to go out into the town and get a couple drinks and have a good old time. Spring game's fun, man. Now, I know a lot of you may be wondering, like, should I go to the spring showcase? Or I truly go. Trust me, there may be a time when you say, I don't want to go, and then you get there and it's like, man, I could have gone. Tickets are only $5 more for the general admission seats. You can get your good food there. You can get you some memorabilia. You can spend the whole weekend in Columbus and have a good old time. Just go there. But also go to focus on the young players. On defense, I haven't touched a lot on Devin Sanchez. But if there's one young Buckeye on the secondary that can compete to play, I think Devin Sanchez is that guy. I think Naeem Alford is another one. If they got both of them, Aaron Scott Jr. and Bryce West would have been having guys right on their heels. You better be all right. You better make sure this is okay, because if not, I'm going to come for your spot. And that's true. Bryce West and Naeem Alford are Devin Sanchez and Naeem Alford are really good. Alford's at Oregon, and I cannot wait for the next time at Ohio State and Oregon play, because that's going to be a very heated battle. A kid down in Alabama that was committed to Ohio State verbally, ended up decommitting and then going to Oregon. Make the choice for yourself. Make the right one for you. But trust me, if I know coaches, only if I know individuals, if you do that, all of a sudden and switch, people want to be a little bit more animated, a little motivated when they play you to do some good stuff to you when you're out on the football field. Back to spring ball. I don't know how I got on that, but spring ball, it's fun. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to seeing Sayin throw these to the other receivers. Mylan Graham, who has been one that's wowed a lot of players and coaches at Ohio State, hasn't got a lot of attention on the field. It's another time for him to showcase and tell everybody what he can do as a player. I think about a speedster, a guy that has the skill set of trying to be that deep ball threat. Will that be a part of the showcase for Ohio State this year? Probably. Do the coaches believe that they have a quarterback or quarterbacks that can make those deep balls consistently and drop it in the bucket? Absolutely. Well, I was listening to the Cover 3 podcast, and Danny Kienholz was talking about a skills challenge he did, and he said don't look it up on YouTube. And I'm thinking, if you truly don't want people to look it up on YouTube, you wouldn't say it on the show. And I know, like, people say that and don't really realize the time was coming out, and they have to own that at the end. But Danny Kienholz talked about a drill where you start at the 5-yard line, and then there's a residential trash can at the corner of the end zone. And you're literally throwing the ball and dropping it in the bucket. And then you back it up, you back it up. He said there was extra points if the ball stayed inside the trash can. Now, he said there is some luck that goes into that too, but if the ball stayed in the trash can, you would get extra points. If you think about a showcase, you want to just showcase the touch that these quarterbacks possess. That's a good drill to do it. And a good place to showcase that is Ohio State Spring Showcase this year. I am still getting used to saying Spring Showcase because for my entire life, and probably yours, is spring game. We get to watch a scrimmage. It'll be on TV. It's one that it's going to be 4 quarters. It's going to be a format. It's going to be a scoring system. And you're going to see your guys. You're going to see, last year was Will Howard, Devin Brown, and so on and so forth. You got Henderson, and we saw the T formation. There were so many things to remember. That's what we're used to. Well, that's the norm. The spring showcase and other schools around the country canceling the spring game, that might be the new norm. And that makes me wonder if this plan could backfire. Thank y'all for tapping Locked on Buckeyes and making this show your first listen of the day. If you are a new listener or viewer of the show, welcome in and thank you for tapping into the show. Make sure you subscribe or follow to Locked on Buckeyes on whatever app you're utilizing right now. And make sure you hit that notification button so you get notified anytime a new show goes live. Oh, yeah, one more thing. Leave a comment on this video and let me know what your thoughts are about Ohio State's Spring Showcase in 2025. Once again, I said it, and it had the same effect it had earlier before the break. it still doesn't sit right with me. It still makes me a little uneasy knowing that we're not getting the normal spring game. I'm not really so much worried about the altering of spring practice. I think moving spring practice to starting after spring break is something that should have always been the thing. It just didn't really make any sense to go 2 days and then break and then come back, especially when you know those 2 days. A lot of guys might want to go out partying or might want to go and not do a lot of their workouts. Why do that and risk it? Well, if you risk it, you're not the right guy, and cool, bye. You can go and find yourself somewhere else to play. But why do that? I think the change to the scheduling is a needed one. Should have happened a long time ago. I think the slow, methodical approach to spring practice, going with the first couple of weeks, seeing how things are going, and then try to figure out what's going to happen the latter part of spring practice, I think that's good too. I think it's a great change. Not having the spring game, I won't lose sleep over it. As a fan, I would love to watch the spring game. Absolutely. Give me a scrimmage. Cool, I'm there. I told y'all. I love this stuff. This plan, could it backfire? It could. I'm not gonna try and sugarcoat it and say, "Oh, it's one of those things that's bulletproof. Ain't nothing gonna happen." No, I mean it could backfire. It could lead to Ohio State having a rougher summer or a slower summer, and I don't know. It could also lead to something that's happened the past couple of years, or something not happening that's happened recently. You may not lose a guy to a lower leg injury. Now, one happened in spring practice. I believe it was Evan Pryor in the spring game. The other one was not in spring game, but it was in the summer. TC Coffey had a lower leg injury, and he was out for the year. There have been guys in the spring game that have been dinged up. And Ryan, they may be thinking, what can we do to help prevent injuries right now and also preserve the overall health of the team for the long haul? Change things up. I don't think yes, it could backfire. It could lead to things happening that no one wants to happen. It could also lead to a massive success for Ohio State. And I think that's where everyone should be leaning. I have said it once, and I'll say it again. Ryan Day has done a lot of great things and made a lot of the right decisions with a lot of the hires and some of the guys he's brought in from the portal. Some of the recruiting stuff, too, like there's some receivers who are thinking, like, that guy didn't really play receiver much in high school, or should that guy be recruited as a tight end versus a receiver? I'm saying some real things that are happening right now. He's made a lot of decisions right. Got a lot of things right. He's also got some things wrong. Does anybody know if the Matt Patricia hire is going to be a knock out of the park? No one knows. Someone may grade it and say, no, it's an A+ hire. Based on what? Well, what is track record in the NFL? Cool. What else can you base it off of? Well, Ohio State's personnel. Cool. Matt Patricia coached a game at Ohio State. No. So how can you grade a hire before a man coaches his first game at Ohio State? It's similar to the NFL draft. And Yahoo and ESPN and those of us that play fantasy football, you'll get a grade after your draft. I know Yahoo does. I forget if ESPN does that right now or not. But you get a grade after your draft. Say, well, this draft pick at this time was this grade, and your overall draft grade was here. And then a lot of the times what we'll find, at least I find, those teams that are auto-drafted are ranked higher than those that aren't auto-drafted. So you're saying the AI is a better drafter than a human? Probably. Duh, it's a no-brainer. But yeah, I do think that this scenario with the Matt Patricia hire or some other things, people may try to grade it. When it comes to a fantasy football draft, you can't grade your draft pick until the season starts. Now, a lot of that is out of your control. You can pick a player based off some protections you have. Playing on the field, you figure that out quickly. Matt Patricia and the Brian Hartline promotion, and Matt Guerrieri and changing the different title, and Keenan Bailey being the co-OC, and all these other things Ryan Day has done, Tyler Bowen. You can't grade those things until the season not even just starts. You got to get to the halfway point, maybe the full season, to be like, no, that was a good hire. You can't do that now. Same thing goes with Ryan Day's decision to alter spring practice. You may say, Jay, it's a bulletproof. It's not going to have any issues. Okay, cool. We don't know if that's the truth until the season starts. But my gut tells me, though, these are things that Ryan Day should have done the entire time. Push spring practice back. The spring showcase and spring game, I would think the scrimmage was good enough. spring showcase. Like, I'm not losing sleep for it. I don't think it should make that move. I think the spring game is great for a fan perspective and even the team perspective. Not just a fan, but the team in general. Like, you would want to get that type of environment. You would want to get some of the younger guys that have not played a lot in the shoe to get that opportunity in front of 60 or 70 or 80,000 Buckeye fans that are yelling OHIO all around the stadium. You want them to get that opportunity. And the same thing goes for other things Ryan Day is going to do this offseason, especially during spring practice. You don't truly know if something is going to hit the way you think it is going to hit, and if it's graded like the way you want it to be graded. You don't know if that's the case until games are played. Not trying to be the negative guy, just trying to be a realist. But the real thing about Ryan Day is he's surrounded by elite players all over the place. I mean, it wouldn't shock me next year if Ohio State has 3 off in the 2026 draft. If there are, let me think. If there are 3 offensive linemen drafted, you may get a running back drafted. You're not getting a quarterback drafted because even if Kienholz jumps Sayin and wins a job, I don't think Kienholz is going to the NFL yet. Probably going to get, Carnell Tate might leave. Brendan Ennis might leave. That's 2 more draft picks. On the D-line, you're probably going to get 3 draft picks between McDonald, Jackson Jr., and Curry. Styles, another draft pick. The draft picks are going to be there. The talent is there. There's a lot of things that Ryan Day has done right at Ohio State and stockpiling the talent, making sure that everybody around him is understanding the assignment. He's done that very, very well. He's gotten that stuff right. And I think he's on the right path with this spring practice that's been altered. I'm not a guy that likes change. I am not. I'm going to go back to my childhood a little bit and then close up shop. It was 2004? 2004 into 2005, I believe. My parents were in the process of building a home out in Geist. It's in Indianapolis. It is a very nice area. A lot of people that are very, very. We weren't in this part of town of Geist, but there are people that you have to have money to live out there. And I don't know why I was like this sophomore year of high school. I didn't want to leave, man. I didn't want to leave my old house. I was weird. Look back now and think about it and trying to figure out why was I like that? I have no idea. My parents would go out to the new house over and over and over as it was being built, and my parents and my mom and dad take the Bible out there, and they would take a pen, some writing utensil, and write on the boards as they were building the house and putting different scriptures out there, and this verse here and this verse there, and putting the Bible all over the place. And I remember people saying, "You want to go see the new house?" "No, I'm good." "You want to go see it?" "No, I'm good." For some reason, I didn't want change. I didn't want to leave what I was used to. I didn't want to leave the home that I spent my entire time living in Indianapolis in up until we moved. All of a sudden, I think it was the day before the day we moved, go out to the new house. I'm thinking, what is wrong with me? Why am I so stuck in my ways? I didn't want to come out here and see this home and look at the new beginning, not new beginning, but the upgrade and see all this new space. My brother and I had a loft upstairs, and we had my bedroom was on one end, his was on the other. There's a bathroom up there. There was a guest room. The computer was outside my door, my bedroom door. They took a couch upstairs, had a TV, played the game upstairs. There was so much more space, so much stuff that benefited our family. And as a high schooler, I would love my own space. I would love to be able to just sit there and chill and not to share all the space we got. I would love it. Literally, if my parents downstairs, their bedroom was there, brother and I were upstairs. It was phenomenal. For some reason, my boneheaded self didn't want to change. A lot of people out there, when look at some of the things Ryan Day is saying, man, I don't want to change. I don't want to be that guy that's going to be out here and just going along with the wind and do whatever Ryan Day says. No, I don't want to change. Trust me. Follow Ryan Day. He's not perfect. He ain't never been a perfect coach. As great of a coach as Phil Jackson is, or as great of a coach as Nick Saban is, they got issues. They had issues while they were coaching. Mobile quarterbacks, for some odd reason, messed up a lot of Nick Saban's defenses. I don't know why, but that's the reality of it. And I think moving forward for Ohio State, there's going to be more change coming from Ryan Day and from other people inside the athletic department to college football as a whole. Don't be afraid of change. Don't do it. Now, some of the change that's coming, you may not be afraid of it. You just might not agree with it. And I'm with you. I don't like all the change. I don't agree with all the change, but I realize change is coming to college football, and all of us, got to remember to alter our thinking and realize the sport changes so fast. We got to keep up with all the changes, like some people keep up with the Joneses. Thank y'all for tapping Locked On Buckeyes right here on a Thursday and making this show your first listen today. For your second listen, check out the Locked On College Basketball with Isaac Shade and Andy Patton. Y'all, March is here, so be the most informed college basketball fan throughout the madness. Find Locked On College Basketball on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. You can follow me on any social media platform at jstevens07. Send every email to jstevens317@gmail.com. This has been Locked On Buckeyes on a Thursday. We'll see you next time.